The following program is a paid presentation of Tony Walker Financial. The views and opinions expressed are those of the presenters and do not necessarily reflect those of this station or its affiliates. The information shared during this program is for general informational purposes only. It is not intended as legal, tax, investment, or other professional advice, nor as a recommendation of any specific investment product or financial instrument. Always consult your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant regarding your own situation. Diane Williamson is a paid non-client spokesperson. Ms. Williamson is not employed by Walker Financial Services, Inc. Her services as an independent contractor were paid for by WorryFree Production, Inc. for the production of this program.
With everything happening in our world, you may have lots of questions surrounding your financial future and retirement. The most important thing to remember is that a successful worry-free retirement is not a sprint, but a marathon, a journey, an adventure. So if you're a saver, retired, or nearing retirement, this program is for you. Diane Williamson sat down recently with retirement planning specialist Tony Walker to uncover some of the secrets behind Tony Walker and how Tony, with over 42 years of experience along with his organization, have successfully assisted over 4,000 savers enjoy a worry-free retirement. So come along as you too discover the mission and message of Tony Walker and Tony Walker Financial, and that is to help more and more savers worry less about money.
I know you've been doing, I'm reading this, more than 42 years. It's hard to believe. You don't look old enough to be doing that. Definitely, you are a name that is recognized all through Kentucky and, of course, Southern Indiana, where I'm from. And I'm just thrilled. And I want to introduce everybody that doesn't know you. I can't imagine who it is. This is retirement planning specialist Tony Walker. And I'm so pleased that you're taking the time to talk with me today about some of these questions that many other people besides myself may have.
Well, you're welcome, and I'm looking forward to the interview. And I hope we can get through all these questions. If not, we're going to dedicate as an organization several TV shows as long as it takes to share this information, because the timing of it is very important.
I agree, and that's part of the reason that we decided to meet up today. I think it's definitely the time to do it. Tony, I think it's been at least 2 years since you and I have had a chance to get together and talk, and a lot's changed in those last 2 years. Just anybody can look around and see, AI is a big player, it seems, and it has even been in my career. There's the landscape's just changed, and it's everything from toll-free numbers to YouTube videos or TikTok videos and on how you should invest or where you should invest your money and this retirement gimmick. And it seems like that the whole retirement, the whole advisory, the financial advisory world has almost been turned on its head. And you've got these people that are kind of coming into it and they're new, they've not been doing it for a long time, or they've got a very popular YouTube channel. How can you tell who you can trust? And I know I can trust you.
Well, yeah, it's a good point, Diane. There's 11,000 people turning 65 every day.
No.
And I think, we realized 25 years ago we were already setting in motion this worry-free retirement process, and we knew these people, baby boomers, would eventually retire. So we've had a process in place for years, but I think the financial world in the last 5 years roughly has caught wind of this, and now everybody and his brother is offering retirement planning services, and I think it's actually creating more confusion. You mentioned YouTube. For the fun of it, I like to look at some of these YouTube channels, and my question is, who are these people? Where are all these blanket statements coming from, whether it's when to take Social Security? It's dangerous stuff out there because retirement planning is so personalized and specific to the person you're working with, and that's what we've learned from doing this so long.
And everybody's situation is different. I know my situation, we were just talking a little bit ago, I'll be turning 62 in December, but should I take Social Security now? Should I wait? And of course, my situation with what I do for a living is fluctuating as well, thanks in a large part to AI. One of the biggest changes is the one that you directed, the TV show that I was with you a couple of times, that you directed and hosted that for something like more than 30 years. What brought you to kind of step away from that? It seems like we haven't done anything for a couple of years now.
Yeah, so for over 30 years, I directed and wrote script for a 30-minute TV show A lot of people say, well, aren't there advisors on TV? There's a few, but those are real scripted. They're kind of boilerplate. Nobody's really writing the script and coming up with ideas. And quite frankly, you know, at age 66, I'm still trying to run a practice. It literally just got too much for me. So we were very successful with that. We appreciated our audience. We had a great viewership, but I felt like it was time to step back from that, continue to really focus on the business. We're growing a lot. I have 20 full-time employees now. We still do a lot of advertising and things like this, but I just felt like I needed to focus more on the growing needs of the business. And at this age, I still enjoy it. I still love it. No plans to retire, but it was really more of a time and energy level situation for me. But I missed the show, but it was a great run.
Well, this is you know, similar to that, but on a kind of a different stance. Podcasts seem to be the rage these days, and I'm thrilled to be doing this with you. So as we've talked about before, I always check out, you know, if I'm talking to anybody on a podcast, I'm going to go kind of look at them. You've got amazing 5-star reviews all over social media. I mean, it's how do you keep that up? And you know they're not all bots. You know, certainly I don't think any of them are. These are actual real people that you've helped them in their finances and their lives. How are you getting these amazing reviews? What are you doing right?
Well, I think we've always put the customer first. We're fiduciaries, but we really do put them first. And it's only been the last couple of years that the government has allowed a fiduciary to give a testimonial, which they are. So we've really gone to our clients, and if they feel free to do that, we just say whatever you want to say. But you know, why do you work with Tony Walker Financial? Why are you worry-free? And what I want to point out, Diane, I'll take a little bit of credit for those 5-star reviews, but it's really the organization and the culture here. We are so service-driven. It's never really been about the money for me. I've been in this 42 years now. I've never had financial goals per se. I try to work hard, and I've got to run a business. I've got to be responsible, but it's never really been about the money. It's helping as many savers as we can and taking care of those people that have trusted us with their money. We just take great responsibility in that thought that somebody, here's the thing, that somebody would work 40 years, here's the way I look at it, it's humbling actually, 40 years, they bring their life savings into us to handle. I mean, that's incredible.
It's huge.
There's 2,500 advisors within a 5-mile radius of this office here on Shelbyville Road, and to trust us, that's a huge responsibility, and we are just very grateful, and we're going to do all we can to take care of them and do what we say we're going to do.
You know, it seems like it's almost like a ministry. You've got to have some kind of a servant's heart to do this kind of work well. And from what I've seen, and of course I've known you for a few years, I'm picking up on that. And it seems that that culture permeates throughout this entire building and everyone in it.
Well, you know, it's a serving attitude, but the serving attitude starts with my reliance on God. And I kind of have an order of things. Whenever I'm thinking through what I'm about to do, is it honoring God first? The next in line would be my wife, Susan. The next in line is my immediate family. And this shocks people when I say this. Next in line are my clients, not the staff. And I've told the staff this. The staff, they are here because my mission is to help the clients. I'm not here to serve the staff. The staff are here to serve the clients. Now, if those staff members will take care of my clients, guess what? I'm going to take care of those staff.
Right.
And then everybody else kind of falls in line. So I only have so much energy, but I've kept that order of things, and I've never forgotten where I've come from, and I believe God has allowed me to kind of keep that order straight. Don't forget whose money this is. This is the client's money.
Yeah.
You know, they're giving us the privilege to handle it, and we're going to honor them by doing the best we can to handle their money.
With the stock market at all-time highs, our nation's debt through the roof, and inflation racing out of control, now may be the best time to consider safeguarding your money. That's why I'm offering to review your 401k and other retirement accounts to be sure that you aren't taking too much risk and you're not going to run out of money. To set up your free meeting with me, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
You started this company in '91. It was you and a part-time secretary. So now here in 2026, you've got 2 locations. This one right here at 8303 Shelbyville Road. Beautiful frontage by this beautiful building. We were just talking. I had no idea that this building was built in the 40s. It was a house, I think, originally.
Yes, just a house.
It's gorgeous. So in addition to yourself, you now have 20 full-time employees overseeing $1.2 billion dollars for more than 4,000 clients. I mean, how in the world did Tony Walker Financial grow at such a rapid rate?
Well, I do think, I work hard. I'm a hard worker. I've learned over the years to work smart. I've made a lot of mistakes, but generally I try not to repeat those mistakes. I've had the mission of trying to help as many people as I can. I didn't, especially in the early years, if you could fog a mirror and you had money, Diane, I was going to talk to you. So we just have taken care of people. And again, the growth is what it is. I thank God for all that He's allowed us to do. He's given me good health. He's given me great staff. Again, if you talk to the clients, I keep going over the staff, but the staff have 2 family members involved now. I've got a fiduciary and Heather Hughes that's been with me 20 years that could easily, we'll talk about this later, but could easily step in and take over this business if something happened to me, which is, again, a huge issue is business continuity we got to get to. But I think it's just, we just keep working hard, we do the right thing, and business kind of takes care of itself.
Amen. You talk about the culture of a retirement firm. What is the culture here? We've touched on it a little bit, but what makes the work environment so unique to the financial industry?
Well, years ago I went through a program called Strategic Coach, and I wanted to make it about the staff as well. So I wanted to make sure the staff was working efficiently. So back then, this was back before most people thought about it, I went to a 4-day work week. So for over 25 years, we have not worked on Fridays. The reason I did that is I wanted the staff to know that I wanted them to have what Dan Sullivan called free days, more free days. The more free days you have, the more you can focus on what's called focus days. So the 4 days we're here, we work really hard. I expect a lot out of the staff. We are constantly upgrading our technology so we can be more efficient to serve others. And I think what that culture has proven to the staff is, hey, you can actually do, we can talk about the book later, Expect the Best. I think I can get more out of you. I think you can do a lot better job. I can do a lot better job. And let's see if we can even do more within a limited period of time. Well, since there's a limited period of time, Dan, and what you have to do then is you have to think together, you have to work together, you have to work as a team. And it's a fun kind of challenge to see what's possible whenever you thought it wasn't. So you mentioned that $1.2 billion. If you told me 20 years ago, Tony, you'll be running a firm that manages and oversees more than $1.2 billion, I would have laughed at you. I'd said, Diane, you got to understand, I'm seeing people in a Starbucks here. I've only got 2 employees. I don't even know what you're talking about. But it will happen. Success will happen. But you got to put your nose to the grindstone. You got to learn to be more efficient. And as best you can, you got to be able to look ahead to make sure you're meeting the changes that are going to come, because they will come.
As we can clearly see now.
Yeah.
There is a book written about you. Everybody has to have a book.
Oh, yeah. And if you get your checkbook out, people write books about you, Diane.
I wouldn't be mad about that. This right here, it's called Expect the Best. It's by well-known author Gary West. And what was the purpose of this book? You've written, 6?
Yeah, I've written 6.
Yourself.
Yeah.
But having somebody write a book, did he come to you? How did this happen?
Well, I knew Gary. I was on the Tourism Commission with him in Bowling Green years ago. He's a great writer. He's a good storyteller. And I guess I wanted somebody to tell the story about my upbringing, where this culture came from, the values, the mores that I grew up with. I grew up in a lower middle class home, parents divorced, spent a lot of time with my granddad, but all that's important. I think today we're losing that. People they turn over their money to people and they know nothing about them.
You're right.
It's bizarre. You work 40 years, and I'm not getting on people doing dinner seminars, don't get me wrong, but you go, somebody buys you a steak dinner, and the next thing you know, you're turning over your life savings to them. I personally, this is just the world according to Tony, I want to know who they are, what was their upbringing, why do they believe what they believe, and then that culture of the people working for that person, it's going to permeate to them too. So I would rather somebody read this book, maybe get to know me, and let's say they say, you know what, I don't think that's the guy I want to work with. I'd rather want to know that up front, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Why would you want to dive into a relationship and realize this is not the right fit? So I wanted Gary to write that book from a perspective of somebody that did not know me, and he did a lot of research. It took him about 6 months. He interviewed people, interviewed my family. And I said, you write it how you want to, and that's how it came out. And I think it tells the story of Tony Walker, but more importantly, where Tony Walker Financial as a firm is going.
Well, and I think it helps people understand your value system. And I think if you're handing money over to somebody, you want your value systems to align.
I agree, and especially in this day and age, you think about with AI and technology and all these firms out of town, the clients we work with, now it may change over the years, they want to come in and they want to sit down, as the old saying goes, knees to knees, nose to nose. Mm-hmm. They want to know who they're talking with, especially with all of the security breaches. And to me, I think it's even more important. And that's why we have such a personalized service and approach to our business.
Well, it's working. Describe your ideal prospect for your services. Like what type of person, who would be your ideal client?
Yeah, years ago I spent a lot of money in about a year. This was a company out of Canada, and on the phone, all we would do is constant interviews back and forth. And their job was to figure out, who is your ideal client really, Tony? If you could only serve one type of client with your expertise, long-term, what are the needs of those clients, who would it be? And we call them AB prospects. Again, I'm in a business. I don't want to waste their time, don't want to waste my time. The AB prospect is somebody who is a saver. Okay, they really are more concerned about the return of their money than on it. They have strong values and principles. They are very trustworthy people. They want the same type of people. They're okay with some risk, Diane, but we're working with retirees or people nearing retirement. You can't be out here if you're a saver throwing your money to the wind like that. It may have brought you to the dance, but that's scary stuff if you get in your 60s and you're 100% in the stock market. And they want somebody to hold their hand as they get older. Most people realize if they're honest with themselves, even if they're handling it themselves, we're getting more and more clients that are coming in, they're like, quite frankly, I'm doing this for my family, I'm pretty good at it, but I'm worried if something happens to me, who's going to take care of my spouse? They realize that. You can't do this forever. So I want those type of people who want to trust somebody with their money. They want a plan. They don't want to be shooting from the hip. And they want continuity of an organization, and they'll be there for the long haul, which we are set up to do that.
Fair enough. By the way, that's a good segue into the book that you wrote, which is one of my all-time. I have one of these coffee mugs at home, and thanks for the next.
Yeah, you got a second one.
Yes,
don't put these in the dishwasher,
don't put them in the
folks.
dishwasher.
They're
Amen.
not meant for that.
I love this though. Live well, die broke. Why is this book so important to your prospective clients to read before they want to come into the office and meet you?
So doing this for so long, as people started aging and growing older, I've done this a long time, Diane, I'm now starting to see all that. About 10 years ago, I really saw it because people were getting into their 70s, early 80s that were my clients. And the biggest mistake, I'll call it a mistake, the biggest mistake I saw over and over again, they got to a point in their life, they couldn't travel anymore, they couldn't spend as much money, and then they had all this money. Then they shifted over to worried about nursing homes taking it away. And I thought, there's something wrong with this picture. You work all your life, I call it a window of opportunity. You got this window of opportunity to spend this money and truly enjoy it, and it usually bypasses people. That window closes on them, and they realize it's too late. The second reason I wrote that book, it's from a biblical standpoint. If you read the book of Ecclesiastes, and you understand this King Solomon, who was the richest man that ever lived, he got to the end of his life and he realized the same thing. Wait a minute, all I've done is built bigger barns, I've spent all this time and money, and he realized, he didn't say this, I'm going to die broke. In other words, I can't take this money with me. And here's the worst thought, when you really think about it, it's sad. I have to leave all of this life's work to somebody and I have no idea how they're going to use it. So what we instill in people is, no, we are going to set up a plan to use this money now. We're going to give it away now. We want to see how people are going to handle it. We're going to deal with all these taxes that you keep avoiding. We're going to deal with the tax tumor. And we're going to set this up. And also we're going to make sure you don't run out of money. We can do that with our structure. So to me, it makes so much more sense. It's much more biblical. And I think it's coming at a time when people need to understand that this whole idea of saving all this money, building all these bigger barns, it's a losing strategy because in the end, either the nursing homes or the government are going to come take it away anyway.
A couple of things. It doesn't seem like a lot of people can avoid these days, unfortunately.
You do. You avoid it by spending it and enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a gentleman that started the duty liquor stores and all that stuff in the airport. Okay, he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And he got into his 80s, Chuck Feeney, and he realized, he said, wait a minute, we don't need all this money. So he was able to give away his entire net worth prior to his death, and he wanted to get it down to $2 million because he realized, even though he's a billionaire, when he got older, he and his wife only needed about $2 million. Different numbers, but it's the same thing. I'll have people come to me with $2 million. They're afraid to retire. I'm sitting there telling them, based on your lifestyle, based on a quick introduction of what they've got, I say, you could retire now if you want to, and you better retire because this is going to be a problem if you don't. They're surprised to hear that. That's the kind of services we offer and the wisdom I can bring to the table from doing this for so long.
I have a close friend whose father has some resources, and he's been blessing his son with various gifts, financial and otherwise. And my friend shared with me that he felt uncomfortable about that.
Who felt the son
The
receiving it?
son receiving it felt
Oh.
uncomfortable about it, and I said, you know, maybe it's a blessing to your father to be able to see you enjoy this inheritance that he's worked so hard to give you while he's still alive.
No, I think that's a wonderful, that's very astute.
Yeah.
And the other thing we're starting to see, we haven't met a lot of these adult children, but a lot of our clients are passing away. We had 44 death claims last year. It's going to easily surmount that this year. So we'll meet these adult children who are, you know, 40, 45, and we've never met them. Here's what's interesting, and people need to hear this. This is a clear message you need to be aware of. When these adult children get this money, it's very awkward for them. And they're still trying to grieve, and we're filling out death claims, and we're talking about taxes and money. All they do is they miss their parents. And I would say to the parents who are going to leave them all this money, I still think it's better to give it now than it is to give it later. I just really believe that. The problem is you better slow down to do that. You better have a game plan first, and somebody that understands how to manipulate the numbers and the taxes in a fair way, in a legal way, to do it properly. Because you can start actually giving away money too quick. It can come back to bite you. So you still need a plan before you start these giving strategies.
That's why we have Tony Walker Financial that we can reach
It's
out.
probably the most rewarding part of this business, actually, is to set up these giving strategies and seeing that money deployed now rather than just hanging on to it.
Amen to that. Well, speaking about clients, let's say you have a client who's about 50 years old. They're still working. They're working hard. They're saving hard. They're putting all this money into their 401k. How can you help that person?
Well, depending on the plan document and what they're doing, and if they've had former employers, they still have a 401k that they've left with a former employer, we can handle that 401k. If we can't handle the 401k, in other words, they're still working at a current employer, they're under 59 and a half, that's a magic age, there's still things we can do that we're getting ready to implement where we can advise that employee, they're still working, but we can become an advisor to them. So that way, as they get nearer to retirement, they're actually working with a retirement planning firm that's handling the investments. Currently, if somebody's working and they're under 59 and a half and they don't have money to invest with us, currently we can't take them on as a client until we have their investments. So we're like every other advisor from that standpoint. We have to have money to work with. That's how we get paid. We're either going to get a fee or commission. But I would say if that person's 50, they're making good money, the 401k is starting to grow, go on and contact us anyway. Let's at least start a relationship and get working together, and we can still start the planning process. And you may be eligible for this new program where we can come in and start managing your 401k now.
Nice. That's nice because, you know, I'm sure people have seen your commercials or have heard of you through friends, and they're like, oh, well, I can't really call the guy.
That's right. Now, I would say in somebody in their 20s and 30s, occasionally we can help them, but we're really, the reason that 50 plus mark is so important, back to that AB prospect, those are people that are really starting to think about retirement. You can't expect a 40-year-old, in most cases, there's exceptions, I mean, they're still trying to pay off their mortgage. They've got kids. Everybody says, well, you need to be planning for retirement. Well, yeah, you need to fund your 401k, but really planning for retirement starts usually when you get to be about 50 plus.
I remember someone telling me when I was in my 20s and working in television and radio in Louisville, oh, you should start planning for your retirement right now. And did I do it? No, didn't do it.
Well, I would say this. Here's a rule of thumb for the young people. You don't need a planner for this, but it's called the 15% rule. If a young person, if let's say they're only making $50,000 a year, just takes 15% of their money and saves it somewhere, I don't care where you put it, cookie jar, 401k, life insurance, it doesn't matter. But what you do is you force yourself to ratchet that up, that 15% contribution to savings or investments, as your salary goes up. You know, there's an old saying, a luxury once enjoyed soon becomes a necessity. What you have to do is you have to ramp up the savings to mimic the money because your salary will increase. If you do that, even if you only make 3 or 4%, by the time you're 60 or 65, you'll have probably more money than you know what to do with. So that's the key, the 15% rule, save it somewhere. As your salary increases, bump up those savings equal to 15% of whatever your income. There you go, young folks, there's your plan.
Yeah, there you go.
See me when you turn 50.
Free
How's that?
advice from Tony Walker Financial. That's a thing.
In the financial world, advisors are often divided between two categories: money managers or annuity specialists. My question is, why not have both? At Tony Walker Financial, we specialize in investments and securing guaranteed income you can never outlive. You know, we're more than just annuities. So if you're retired or retiring soon, why don't you give us a call or log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started.
So, Tony, say you're in your 42 years now. My gosh, it's amazing in the financial field, and you decide to start a brand new marketing campaign called Talk to Tony. I'm just hearing about this. When most advisors your age are, playing golf, why would you kick off this new campaign now?
So I love still meeting with clients. I have anywhere from 25 to 40 appointments a week, depending on what's going on, and I love meeting with prospective clients. So I feel like this Talk to Tony campaign is a campaign where if somebody's at all interested, maybe they're watching this program, and they just want to find out a little bit about us, share what they've got to see if they're a candidate for our services. I'm going to talk to them. In fact, we've got a digital person. He's expert in this. We've got on the website. All you do is you go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. It even says a little red button, Talk to Tony. We are notified. We're going to set up a phone appointment, and they'll be talking to me, the owner of the company, and usually in 5 to 10 minutes after a quick conversation, I'll be able to tell them whether I can help them or not. Now, if I say I can help them, then they're going to come into the office. People still feel like, well, I don't think I'm going to meet with Tony. They're going to meet with me. So in most cases, the first and the second appointments are going to be with me. The idea is I can see a lot of people. I've done this a long time. I can get to the brunt of the matter very quickly, and I can do an assessment very quickly to see if we can help them. So it keeps them, I guess, from having to just go all over Louisville or Bowling Green trying to find somebody. Talk to somebody initially like me, no cost or obligation. I'm happy to talk to anybody that would like to take advantage of that.
And you're a lot of fun to talk to, by the way. So I couldn't believe this. I found out that you were 66 years of age. I'm sure you get this question though all the time. What happens to my money that that you're managing for me in my plan at Tony Walker Financial when something eventually happens to you?
Well, let me ask you this, Diane. Have you ever had either a banking experience or an insurance company or something where you had somebody you liked working with and they just moved on? Has that
Absolutely.
ever happened? Oh, it happens all the time, and it's getting worse. What people are forgetting is people my age in this business, they're not wanting to talk to anybody. Most of them are trying to figure out an exit strategy. They're estimating out of this roughly 100,000 advisors in the country that are my age, most of them are going to be retired in 5 years. Met a couple the other day. They've lost 2 of their advisors to death. The one passed away, an older gentleman that they loved. The replacement, they grew close to her. She passed away. Now the firm's out of town. They don't know who they're even talking to. So the way we've set up our organization, we have myself as a fiduciary. I have 4 salaried fiduciaries, but we don't assign advisors to anyone. What we do is we have the game plan, and everybody follows the game plan. So if I'm killed in a car wreck heading back and forth to Bowling Green, if I can't work anymore for some reason, then the other advisors just step in and monitor the game plan. So the way we have the continuity of our services built in long term, nobody else is doing it like this. Most people have the assigned agents or advisors, and that to me is not a good long-term strategy for the client and for the continuity of services they're going to need in retirement planning.
Are you retired or retiring soon and looking for an advisor you can trust? Well, visit TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click that Talk to Tony button to get started. Once there, you can schedule a free phone call to discuss your specific situation with Tony himself. You can also call us anytime at 877-499-9255. Thanks for joining us for this special presentation, and may each day of your retirement journey always be worry-free.